elites. Goodbye, elites. Vulnerable Necromancer Explodey Boy at your service. No cooldown. Hey guys, Fan here again, and today I'm gonna show you guys the skill tree for the most broken Necromancer build that is available right now in the Diablo 4 open beta. You guys probably already saw the dungeon clips of it. Basically, it's broken because you turn into a blood mist, which means you are completely invulnerable during the whole duration of the blood mist, and you are just casting corpse explosion on everything near you. And the key to this build is this legendary item where the power is blood mist triggers corpse explosion on nearby corpses, and whenever you detonate a corpse, the cooldown is reduced. And by doing this, you can actually just permanently reset the cooldown of your blood mist, which means you can permanently become invulnerable while exploding really any mobs that are near you. So let's get into the skill tree and see how this works here. The build's been floating around for a couple days now, so a lot of you guys might have seen it already, but if you haven't, it really just centers around these two skills I mentioned earlier. One is Blood Mist, the other is Corpse Explosion. So remember, any corpses you touch with Blood Mist automatically trigger Corpse Explosion, and we'll go to both of those talents and explain why that is super good in a second here. But let's start at the start of the tree. So start of the tree, I think you have two options. You can either go Decompose, which I'm using currently because I have a legendary affix for it, and it generates one corpse every 2.5 seconds of channeling Decompose, or you can go with the Scythe, where once every 5 seconds, your Reap Scythe will be able to generate a corpse. Either way, your goal is to just generate as much corpses as possible for this build for your Corpse Explosion to be using. So one of those two for your basic skill is the way to go here, and you're actually not going to be using any of these mana spenders. You're not going to be using a core skill, so I took maxed out rank in Hued Flesh. This one, your damage have 12% chance to generate a corpse at the target's location. Very important because we need as many corpses as we can get, and that's why I took a third point into the level 1 as well, so we can get down to this tier, and this is the important tier. So like I mentioned a little bit before, and we're gonna max out Corpse Explosion here. Maxing out Corpse Explosion is important because we want the Corpse Explosion to do as much damage as possible. It's the main damage dealing ability of the build. Corpse Explosion radius is increased, very good ability, helpful for mob clear. And lastly, we take Corpse Explosion, does increased damage to anyone that is CC'd, and the damage bonus can stack. So just more damage on your Corpse Explosion. That one I think is pretty self-explanatory. We also want high points into Blood Mist, and this is just to lower the cooldown as much as possible, just so you can try to guarantee that you get a full reset on Blood Mist every single time you use it, because the lower the cooldown is, the easier it will be to reset the full cooldown. And of course, we are going to take the Blood Mist upgrade line all the way up here. This one's very important. Blood Mist leaves a corpse behind every 1 second. This is really nice because even if there's no corpses on the ground at all, just by pressing this button, you're gonna generate 3 corpses, one every second, and that is most of the time enough to start off the chain reaction. All you need to do is, pop 1 or 2 corpses, and if a single mob in a pack dies, all of a sudden you have more corpses to work with. That one's going to pop too, and the chain reaction will continue, and all of them are going to be dead before you know it. So I also took Grim Harvest plus Fueled by Death here. This one, you deal 12% damage after consuming a corpse for 4 seconds. Consuming a corpse includes exploding it, so anytime you explode the corpse with the Blood Mist, you're going to get this damage bonus. I saw some people were taking skeleton upgrades. You can do that as well. The reason I didn't do that is because I was feeling like towards the end of the towards the ends of the open beta, level 25-ish, I was feeling the skeletons getting a little bit weaker. So I have my doubts about whether or not they'll be able to scale well into harder difficulties. And my assumption is that they're not going to scale super well, which is why I'm just going to buff my own damage rather than the skeleton damage. I would rather have 12% extra damage on the corpse explosion, the main damaging ability of this build, than to buff the minions from what I have played. Alright, moving on here, we take, one rank of Death's Embrace, deal 2% more damage to close enemies. Same concept, we're buffing the damage of Corpse Explosion as much as possible. And then that allows us to go into the next couple tiers where we're actually not going to take anything on this talent tier either. If you watch the gameplay carefully, this is pretty much a one button gameplay. It's a really broken build, like I mentioned before. The only button you really need to press is Blood Mist, and if you're on a boss, sometimes you'll start the boss with your basic ability to generate the extra corpse. And on the boss, you can also use ultimate. The ultimate I chose here is 2 points into Army of the Dead. Basically, the way this works is it just calls a bunch of skeletons. These skeletons are not summons, they're more like suicide bomber kind of skeletons. So you summon them and they're just gonna run at whatever they can. They're gonna explode, and the upgrade makes it so that they have 15% chance to leave a corpse behind. So once again, really important way to get as many corpses as possible. Most of the time during normal mobs, you don't need this. Only against single target bosses where the corpses are really lacking, then this helps you generate more corpses. And that is basically the whole build for the skills tree. Super simple, like I said before. And the gameplay is also extremely simple. Against normal mobs, all you have to do is press one button, they all die. Against bosses, you just alt and then press your button. Auto attack, alt, press button, and that's about it. That should be enough for your Blood Mist to keep resetting the cooldown on itself, and then you just keep pressing Blood Mist until everything dies. As far as the items, there's 2 items, like I mentioned, that are really good for this build. The first one is absolutely mandatory. This one is the item that gives you the power itself, where Blood Mist triggers Corpse Explosion. And this just happens passively whenever you go near the corpse. So you see I have Corpse Explosion on my bar here, but actually you don't even need it. You can literally just throw it away. You're not even going to be using it normally. You're just going to rely on the passive to proc it the whole time. And the second one is nice to have, but not totally mandatory. Basically what this one does is your movement speed is no longer reduced while Blood Mist is active. So you can see I'm moving even in Blood Mist at my normal move speed. Without this item, you would be you'd be moving about 20% slower. So not a big deal, but it does help a little bit. And that's it. That's the whole build. You can check out the gameplay in the following section if you think you want to try this build out. Keep in mind there's a chance Blizzard will nerf it as well, but wanted to share the build and get it out there so you guys know. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. These watchmen at, man. Yeah, the single target does feel weaker for this build. Definitely weaker single target. Unless they happen to be in a pack of mobs, then it kills them instantly. It's definitely an insane build though. Peace out, Sam. Thanks for dropping by. I'll catch you next time.
I'm not ready yet.
My God. Hello, elites. Goodbye, elites. Vulnerable Necromancer Explodey Boy at your service. No cooldown.
I'm not ready.
We at the boss yet? I can't believe we're still not at the boss. These dungeons take forever, man.
I'm not ready.
The carnage. Max skeleton. Dude, max skeleton increased by 2 is literally on every shield ever. Yeah, the necro mobility is really slow, but you could probably just get move speed. If you prioritize move speed as an important stat, you could probably move pretty freaking fast. I'd imagine that would be good enough. Especially because you just one-shot everything while invulnerable. Well balanced team, isn't it?
I'm not ready.
Alright, I think the boss coming up. Let's see our boss damage. Alright, so I'm gonna suck him to create a corpse, and then we're just gonna go. Oh, we didn't get enough corpses there. Need more. There's a lot of corpses here, though. Alright, let's do it here. That was a lot of corpses. Yeah, single target is definitely passable. It's not bad. It's good single target. I mean, my equipment's not even good. I have like literally the worst roll possible on the CDR. This build is just as broken as the Sorc. It's